What's the deal, y'all? This your man King Eric, Media Assassin, representing this rap and wrestling shit right here. So I want to ask you guys this: did the WWF fumble Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair? My answer would be yes, because think about this: you had Hulk Hogan, the biggest draw of the '80s. You had Ric Flair, the biggest draw in the WCW. It was bound to happen, man. We wanted to see that clash as youngins. It was one of the biggest dream matches out there, man. Because I remember collecting those magazines and the PWI where you had NWA versus WWF, and we used to make dream matches and stuff. We used to collect little action figures and stuff, and just fantasy book from there. You know what I mean? You had to use your imagination, so to speak. But here's where I thought it was gonna happen. I remember as a youngin when Ric Flair pulled up with the WCW gold belt to the WWF. That shit was shocking. Cause at that time, man, I'm gonna be real, man. WCW was a straight dump, bro. And it was awful. 91 was awful. It started off okay with the war games, but as we got into the middle in the end of that year, it was terrible. Especially when your champion bounces on you. So I started tuning in more to what the WWF was doing in 91. And they ended up having one of their best years to me. You had the snake bite incident with Savage and Jake's the Snake Roberts. The Undertaker was locking the Ultimate Warrior in caskets. You had Sergeant Slaughter throwing fireballs at Hulk Hogan. You had Ric Flair skull dragging Roddy Piper throughout Madison Square Garden and hitting Vince in the back of the head with a chair. Then you had Shawn Michaels throwing Marty Jannetty through a barbershop glass. Sergeant Slaughter burning American flags and Hogan shirts. And now you had Flair coming in with this madness. Oh, we was soup. So they automatically had it lined up. In our mind, we was like, yo, it gotta happen. Hogan versus Flair. Let's go. But here was the problem. Vince McMahon didn't see Flair as an equal to Hulk Hogan. Because number one, he coming from a different territory. And he did that just to fuck with WCW anyway. He probably really didn't care much for Flair. So the first match, if you really look at it, is on the vault. It was Flair being Hogan's whipping boy for almost 10 minutes. And it was also said that Vince was not impressed with the match. But I'm like, what do you expect? You booked him to be less than the guy that you already promoted. So anyways, Flair won the 92 Rumble, which was surprising considering the star power there. And I was like, wow, they actually let a WCW guy win this. And he won the belt. So we was thinking, yeah, we gonna finally get this shit. Hogan versus Flair. But something was weird. Like as we started going through the road to WrestleMania, it started getting weird. Hogan suddenly get a shot after he lost. Then you get Flair, he gets shoehorned into the mid-card feud with Savage. Something probably backstage was going down and nobody really, at the time you were young and we was confused, man. We was like, why? How Hogan, who got thrown out the Rumble fair and square, gonna get a title shot all of a sudden? Then he ended up having the match with Sid Justice, or Sid Vicious for that matter. But it never happened. And then later on, Flair, he loses to Savage at Mania. Then he lost again to Bret Hart. I think he lost the title to Bret. I think so. My mind is a little bit tricky. Then he loses the loser Lee Town match to Perfect, and he goes back to WCW. And ironically enough, Hogan comes back a year later, and they have their match, and the match was pretty good. This is the match that Vince should have booked, and look what it did. It made WCW profit. It popped them a rating. This shit would have done wonders if Vince would have booked them right for WrestleMania. My goodness. So Vinnie Mac fumbled the bag right there, and Ted Turner took advantage of it. So, yeah, that's my thought about it. They straight fumbled that. That Mania 8 should have been a whole lot better, man. Like, it should have had Savage versus Snake. You should have had Marty versus Shawn. I don't know why that didn't happen. You should have had Flair versus Hogan. Sid Vicious versus The Undertaker. There's so many ways you could have done this shit, man, but the politics got in the way. Then you still would have had Piper and Brett. So let me know what you guys think, man. Did WWF fumble this? Let me know. Holla.